Part 10. Holy cow. When I first started this series, I had come up with a list of 15 Big Brother theories, and at the time, I felt that I had covered most of the conspiracies that Big Brother had to offer. But the more I kept digging, the more I kept uncovering, and somehow, we're about to hit our 50th conspiracy theory. So, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you for coming with me on this journey. Enough of the preluding though, let's get to the content you're all here for. Was the Big Brother All-Stars vote-in completely fake? Did Leah secretly give herself an advantage in the Jankie World HOH? Today, we will cover those and a few others as we hit our landmark 10th iteration of the series. If you aren't already, consider subscribing to the channel to help me reach 100,000 subscribers. And without further ado, for the 10th time, here are 5 conspiracy theories about Big Brother.
When we return, I'll reveal the final 6 All-Stars. Which candidates will get another chance to compete? Stay with us.
Kicking things off, we have yet another theory courtesy of Danielle Reyes. Shout out Danielle because she has been responsible for like 20% of the theories in the last 3 iterations. This is the theory that the fan vote for Big Brother All-Stars was not real, and rather the entire cast was selected ahead of time by the producers. For those that don't know, the first All-Star season chose the cast in a rather fun and exciting way. A couple weeks before the season began, CBS released a list of 20 former players, and across the next couple of weeks, fans would get to vote on who they wanted to see play. Then, on the night of the move-in, the top 4 voted men and women were chosen to play on the season, with the voted-in players being Janelle, Erica, Diane, Nokomis, Kaser, James, Howie, and Jace. After those 8 were selected, Big Brother then chose 6 players of their own to compete as well, with those being Dr. Will, Danielle, Allison, Mike Boogie, Marcellus, and Chicken George. However, I have seen some claims online that the fan vote wasn't actually a factor, and that Big Brother had already decided ahead of time which 14 players they wanted to be on the season. Over on Reddit, I found many comments saying that Danielle Reyes supposedly confirmed this on her Secret Alliance podcast during the time frame of Big Brother 22, possibly with James Ryan confirming it as well. The only problem is, I couldn't find them saying this for the life of me. I scoured through all the podcasts, Control F'd as many keywords as I could think of, and I still came up short. I even resorted to asking you all if any of you had any knowledge or evidence on the subject matter. And still, I found nothing. The closest thing I found was a clip of Danielle and James talking about how the list of prospective All-Stars was leaked ahead of time before the voting period began. So it's possible that the discussion was then misconstrued into people thinking that the entire All-Stars cast was decided regardless of the fan vote. But at the same time, all these Reddit comments seemed so definite that Danielle and James specifically said that production had already handpicked everyone. So I don't know. I personally don't think that this theory is necessarily true because the results of the fan vote make sense, as the players voted in were all from the most recent seasons. And in an era where the earliest seasons weren't readily available to watch at a moment's notice, it does make sense that the public would vote for the players that were the most fresh on their mind. So until I see some actual evidence or see the clip of Danielle and James talking about it, I'd say this theory isn't the most likely. But really, all it would take for me to get on board would be for me to see that piece of evidence that has evaded my grasp for the last 2 months.
CBS announced who everyone was, and then the fans had to vote.
But it was leaked.
Right.
It was something happened on the website that if you draw your cursor, you saw the name.
You'd see.
Definitely think that Erica doesn't deserve to be an all-star. She didn't do much of anything on her season, and how she got an America's vote.
Okay, up next, we have a theory that I straight up said on Twitter that I would not cover. But enough people asked me to cover it, and after looking at it, it does seem that there is slightly more going on than I initially thought, so what the heck, I'll talk about it. This is the theory that in Big Brother 26, during the Jankie World Endurance HOH, the competition was somehow rigged for Leah to win, as her marshmallow didn't immediately fall when she stopped holding it up with her stick sword. For this competition, the players had to stand on a pedestal, and using a stick sword, they had to hold up what I presume to be plastic marshmallow against a circular glass base, and the player who could keep up their marshmallow the longest would win the HOH. This competition came down to Cam versus Leah after nearly 10 hours, and Leah was crowned the winner after Cam's marshmallow dropped. However, after Leah realized she won and she stopped pressing into the marshmallow with her stick, the marshmallow didn't actually fall, at least not immediately. For a few frames, you can see the stick release the marshmallow, and the marshmallow just stays in the exact same spot. This next part is me reading between the lines, but after it cuts away from the marshmallow and onto Leah's face, you can see her make a confused expression, possibly to her seeing that the marshmallow is still stuck to the glass, and then it looks like she may have even used her sword to then knock the marshmallow off and onto the ground. Then, even after the fact, it looks like Cam picks up Leah's marshmallow to inspect it just in case there was something fishy going on, but he quickly dropped it afterwards, likely meaning that he didn't find anything suspicious with it. Now, from what I've seen, there is a decent amount of people out there that think that because the marshmallow didn't fall instantly, it means that the competition was somehow rigged for Leah to win. But there are so many flaws to that argument. For starters, the players themselves had to set up the competition, not the showrunners, making it extremely unlikely that there would be any sort of way for Big Brother to tamper with Leah's setup in a way to help keep the marshmallow up. And I highly doubt that Leah had access to any type of substance that she could secretly put on the marshmallow, with nobody noticing that she did so. Also, let's look at the set design for a second. Based on the angle of Cam's stick as he held up his marshmallow, it seems pretty obvious to me that these marshmallows could not have weighed very much. Leah also looked to be pushing directly into the center of her marshmallow for the entire time. So, with Leah putting 10 hours of pressure directly into the middle of this marshmallow against the glass back base, I feel like it's not that far of a stretch to say that there was some amount of friction or suction going on between the marshmallow and the glass that would allow for it to stay up even after Leah's pressure was released from it. I know that no other marshmallows stayed up for any amount of time after they dropped, but I'd argue that nobody was holding up their marshmallow as good as Leah was. So, overall, I'm not arguing that Leah's marshmallow didn't stay up after she let go. I totally think that it did stay up, especially after looking at Leah's expression after winning. But I absolutely do not think that there was any sort of foul play involved, and rather just some good old-fashioned physics that I admittedly don't entirely understand. But it seems much more plausible than any other alternative. So, in my eyes, this theory is debunked.
Congrats, Leah! You are the new head of household!
Up next, we have a theory that is connected to one of Big Brother's craziest moves ever. This is the theory that at the final 7 of Big Brother 15, Elissa was pushed by the producers in the diary room to keep Amanda despite their deep hatred for one another. To set the stage, it's important for you all to understand that throughout Big Brother 15, Amanda and Elissa were enemies. Not just game enemies, but like personal enemies. Although Elissa had said her fair share of mean things about Amanda, Amanda was the one leading the charge against Elissa. She would constantly torment her, make fun of her, bully her, and say every nasty thing in the book towards her. It was evil. So, when Amanda was sitting on the block at the final 7, it seemed pretty obvious to everyone that Elissa was going to evict Amanda. And even Amanda had come to the realization that she was going to get evicted, because in order for her to stay, she needed Elissa's vote to keep her. And yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. But Amanda was a fighter, and she gave her pitch to Elissa anyways as to why it made sense for Elissa to keep her, and she also offered up a deal. During this initial pitch, Elissa did not seem very receptive to what Amanda was saying. She gave lots of mms and short responses, and even ended their conversation with, "It's good that you're still trying," which, to me, is pretty indicative that Elissa was not being convinced by what Amanda was saying, and that was her nice way of saying, good effort, but no. However, This is when things start to get strange. Later that night, Elissa gets called to the diary room for a while, and immediately after she leaves the diary room, she hunts down Amanda to tell her that she thought over what they spoke about earlier and that she wanted to accept the deal and vote to keep her in the game. What? Where the hell did this come from? Well, the conspiracy theory is that this came from the diary room. It was a little too coincidental that before going into the DR, Elissa was ready to take out Amanda, her biggest enemy in the game, yet after coming out of the diary room, she was excitedly ready to take Amanda up on her deal and vote for her to stay. Amanda was a very polarizing, yet entertaining figure on the show, whereas the player sitting next to her on the block, Spencer, was a perpetual pawn and not really the star of the season. So when you take that information and combine that with the fact that Elissa and Amanda coming together after their season-long rivalry would make for a stellar storyline, it seems like there might have been a good bit of incentive for CBS to try and push Elissa in the direction of keeping Amanda in the game over Spencer. For me, the reason that I actually do believe in this theory is because of the complete tonal shift in Elissa from before she went into the DR and afterwards. Like, in my eyes, something had to have happened in there to flip some sort of switch in Elissa's mind. And my best guess is that it was the producers. For what it's worth, I actually did bring this up with Andy when I did my interview with him earlier this year, and he seems to think that this move was 100% Amanda and 0% production, and I feel like he probably would have a better grasp on the situation than I do. But I don't know. Even reading through some of the feed transcripts, earlier in that same day, before Amanda had pitched to Elissa, Amanda had been telling everyone that the diary room was consistently telling her to not roll over and die, and to keep on fighting, which possibly led to her pitching to Elissa in the first place, which again just leads me to believe that at least to some degree, Big Brother was trying to push their agenda to try and keep Amanda in the game, even if it was just a little bit. So, sorry Andy, I do genuinely believe this theory to be true.
I know that this is kind of like a lost cause. If you kept me here, I would be loyal to you.
Yeah. I don't think she's taking too well to it. I have tortured her a lot.
Believe it or not, I am actually considering keeping Amanda in this game.
I want to vote for you this night. Come on, I swear to God.
This is only a game move, but I vote to evict Spencer.
But then Amanda ropes Elissa in, or I could just be like conspiracy theorizing. I've heard a lot of things where it's like the diary room convinced Elissa to work with Amanda, but
I also just don't really think they would have been like swaying her to do anything. They really didn't do that. I do think that it was probably like Amanda getting to her and being like, this makes sense. You know, we might hate each other, but like, it makes sense for you to keep me.
Last time, I dipped my toes into covering a celebrity Big Brother theory, and I had a fun time doing so. It seems that some of you enjoyed it too, because I got some other celebrity Big Brother theories, and this next one caught my eye. This is the theory that in Celebrity Big Brother 1, the producers rigged it so that Omarosa would receive safety on the first night to ensure that she wouldn't be the first boot. As I spoke about last time with Anthony Scaramucci being Big Brother's big draw for Season 2, Omarosa was the big draw for Season 1. Just like Scaramucci, Omarosa had a history of both working and being fired from the White House, with the latter happening mere months before her Celebrity Big Brother appearance. So Big Brother knew that the spotlight would be on Omarosa going into the season. Because of it, there was concern that Omarosa could be an easy player to target right off the bat, and Big Brother would not want to lose their star immediately after the season began. But, coincidentally, that fear was short-lived, because before the first HOH competition began, Big Brother announced that they would be handing out safety to one of the 11 celebrities in a random manner. There were 11 numbered stars on the ground, one for each celebrity in the house, and the celebrities had to go and stand behind one of the stars. Julie held an envelope containing the winning number, and whichever celebrity was standing behind the correct star would become immune for this first week. Omarosa went and stood behind star number 5. And what do you know, the winning number just so happened to be number 5, which granted Omarosa immunity in this first round and ensured that she would survive through the first few episodes. How awfully convenient that Omarosa just so happened to hit that 1 in 11 shot at safety. If you ask me, I think Omarosa was definitely told ahead of time to make sure that she chose star number 5 in order to ensure her safety. It is just too perfect that the biggest name just so happened to randomly get safety on the very first night. And it would be so easy for the producers to tip her off ahead of time and just say, choose number 5 and you'll be safe. It is totally possible that Omarosa was not told ahead of time and that she did genuinely happen to get lucky this round. But I would be willing to bet that Big Brother had a hand in ensuring her immediate safety. So for me, I would guess that this conspiracy theory is true.
I'm Omarosa, and I had an opportunity to work in Washington in the Trump White House. I'm exceptional in everything that I do.
I need everyone to randomly choose a star. Whichever house guest is standing behind the winning star will be completely safe. Number 5. Congratulations, Omarosa, you are safe.
And lastly, for the final theory of the first 10 iterations, I have one that I feel really encapsulates what this series is all about. This is the conspiracy theory that Big Brother is just a completely rigged show. At least according to Zach Rance. Now, admittedly, I think Zach was just saying this as an overarching blanket statement to get his point across. But he did bring up 3 pieces of evidence from his season, Big Brother 16, all courtesy of an Instagram live he had done with Kat Dunn 6 years after the fact. The first piece he talked about is something that I've actually already covered in the 2.0 version, where Zach went in depth about how he thought Frankie's Battle of the Block was rigged by production to ensure that he won. The next piece of evidence that he brought up was one time where he was standing outside of the diary room, and Victoria came out of the diary room crying, saying that the producers had just told her that everyone in the house was talking shit about her and that everyone was against her. And then, not even 20 seconds later, they called Zach into the diary room and told him not to believe anything that Victoria just said and that she was lying. Zach saw this as production getting caught with their pants down, trying to influence the game. And although I do think that the reason they told Zach that Victoria was lying is because this scenario falls under the category of Victoria using production as a strategy, which isn't allowed. It does make you think that maybe that rule is in place for this exact reason, so that the producers can tip off certain players about certain things and then forbid them from exposing that information to the other house guests. It's a bit suspicious, I won't lie. And then the last piece of evidence that Zach brought up was how he felt he was purposely given an advantage by the producers in the OTEV competition, because he felt that the producers wanted him to win the competition in order to save himself. Zach was on the block going into OTEV, and he was in danger of going home. But as they were setting up for the competition, the showrunners told Zach that he was to start the competition out on the leftmost starting pedestal while OTEV did his introduction and all of that. From this position, Zach realized that he could look over the edge of the platform and see all the names that he would possibly need as answers. As he was sitting there gathering up all this crucial information, he had also realized that nobody else could see over and get the answers ahead of time. He was wondering, how did he get so lucky with this spot? And then it hit him that maybe it wasn't luck. He was told to go to that spot by the producers, leading him to believe that he was purposely given this advantage because the producers wanted him to win the competition and survive the week, which he ended up doing. Now, with all of this evidence, do I think Zach's claim that Big Brother is fully rigged to be true? Well, no. While I do think Big Brother definitely tries to influence particular moments to try and get an outcome that they would find desirable, the series wouldn't exist otherwise. I also think that we try to retroactively fit puzzle pieces together when in actuality, they're sometimes just coincidences. Like OTEV, for example. Someone had to be seated at the left end. If they put Zach there, then we could say that it was rigged for Zach to win. If they put anyone other than Zach there, then we could say that it was rigged for Zach to lose. It's easy after the fact to mold a situation into the agenda that you want to present if there's enough evidence there to make it at least the tiniest bit plausible. but that doesn't make it true. I'm certainly guilty of this, and I think Zach might be as well. It seems that Zach has a pretty big hatred for Big Brother, and because of that, it may have played a factor in him trying to pinpoint particular moments as rigging when they really just were the producers doing their job and moving the show along. But maybe Zach's right. Maybe it was all rigged. We'll probably never know, but that's what makes these things so fun to talk about. We don't know, so we speculate instead, and it keeps the conversation alive.
Well, this is the thing, like, Big Brother is extremely manipulative, and they rig everything. I mean, there's like 3 like blatant ways of Big Brother being rigged. It's extremely manipulated in the diary room. One day, Victoria comes out of the diary room crying. Production just told me that everyone's talking about me and everyone's against me. Not even 20 seconds later, Zach, please go to the diary room. They go, Zach, whatever Victoria just said, don't believe her. They go, Victoria, come back to the diary room. Victoria goes in the diary room. She comes back out of the diary room. Zach, I was lying. Production didn't tell me anything. Then Zach, come to the diary room. And I started screaming at them. You guys are telling Victoria, I'm going to sue you guys, blah, blah, blah. The first was OTEV. So I was on the blog. They're telling us which place to stand at. Zach, you're there. Christine, you're there. I was on the end. And on the end of the podium, I was able to see over at a perfect view of the entire field. There's a Devin one. There's an Amber one. So when they said, okay, go find an Amber, I was like, there's one right there. But Donnie over there and Nicole over there, like, they can't see any of them.
And there we go. 10 parts. Once I realized I wanted to make it to part 10, the plan was always to end it at part 10. But admittedly, I do still have more theories I'd like to talk about, and that's all thanks to you. There have been so many fun theories that you've all written in the comments that I can't possibly call it quits here. So, next year, there will be a part 11, and probably a part 12, and maybe even more after that, so stay tuned. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who are all likable enough to be placed on the leftmost OTEV pedestal every single time, because Big Brother wouldn't want to risk losing all of those great personalities. And, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
Come on, Nicole. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have been lying to all of you the entire game. My sister's Ariana Grande. So, I've been, Oh my God! I know you're convincing your sister's a millionaire, whatever it is, but you're not gonna ruin my game. I'm not a millionaire. I am playing this game for a charity.
I have no chance. I have no chance.
He's donating the money to kids in Africa. Why the isn't he not gonna win? Give him the money. I'm wasting my time right now.